Hi everyone, it's Farouche. Welcome to my channel. We're going to talk about a very special moment that we're under right now with Mercury creating a Grand Trine to Uranus and Pluto over the next 48 hours. I believe this is one of the most impactful transits that we're going to see for a while, especially in the form of the ability to direct course over the next transitionary period as the outer planets move into the air and the fire signs. Before we get into the astrology, we're going to do an all sign about it. But before we do that, I really want to bring your attention to something. And if any of you are watching this live and you're in the chat, I want you to help me. There is a man who is getting ready to be executed at 6 p.m. Eastern time today. Prosecutors believe that he is innocent, and also DNA suggests that he's innocent as well. This is happening in Missouri. I have a phone number that you can text with your phone. This is the office of Kamala Harris, the VP. And so we have about an hour before this happens. And so if you feel called to do this, please text that number and requesting them to step in. Also, if you're watching live and you feel comfortable doing this, please copy and paste what I had written in the text message box. So in the chat box, and as I'm reading for you guys, then please just copy and paste into the chat. This is set to happen in about an hour, and so it's likely that nothing can be done, but I want to use this platform to try to help or to intervene or put my effort in this direction. So if you feel called to copying and pasting into chat and talking to other people in the chat about it as we do the reading, then please do so. I'm going to purposefully ignore chat for the most part because I want to focus on the reading, but I will kind of jump in as we do the all sign and make sure that that message is spread. I feel terrible for him and his family, and I don't understand the particulars of this. If everybody believes that he is innocent, why is this going forward? Yeah, so Bari asked a question. So text the number above, the one in the chat box, is 310-861-2977, is an official number for the office of Kamala Harris, the VP. And so when people are running for office, they are most responsive to their constituents. And although this is a state matter, Missouri, if you have contact with your delegates in Missouri, then contact them directly. But this was just something I had thought of as a good strategy to put pressure on the government to do something about this. A lot of people believe that this person is innocent, and it would be a tragedy if he loses his life. Okay, so I'm really upset about this, but I really want to do this reading with you, and the tone of the reading is going to be positive because today is a very special day. However, the transit that we're talking about today has a duality to it. And so, as I've already mentioned to you guys before, I'm going to phase out talking about politics on this channel. And certain transits carry an energy that's strong, and it's neither positive or negative, it's just strong. And so when it's interpreted through the lens of mundane astrology, it carries with it a lot of complexity to do with the interconnectedness, the nexus between different governments and different regions. And the outcome of this transit may be different in mundane astrology than in your personal astrology. And we'll go through all of that right now, but just be aware that this is a very powerful transit we are under for the next 48 hours. And it's a great opportunity for you to manifest. And I'll explain some of the details around that because of the situation with this person that I just mentioned. I haven't created like a real, like, specific notes about this because I've been, very kind of involved in what's happening. And so if my explanation is non-linear for you guys, I hope you put up with me today about that. But I did want to carry forward this message because I believe this aspect to Mercury right now is one of the most special transits that you can use in order to push energy forward, manifest, use energy work, set forward a path. So before we get into this in more detail, the main thing you need to know about this transit is that you can't do any kind of energy work with this transit in any form of negativity, any form of like negative attachment, fear, or desire, negative forms of desire, entitlement. This is because, of course, this aspect involves Medusa, Algol, and we can't get into the details of Algol here right now, but it's a very complicated placement and it's extremely powerful, okay? And so essentially this energy offers great power, but it has a very malevolent or dark side to it. So if you approach anything that you are doing in terms of energy work to do with this star from a negative perspective, then you are going to get into a lot of trouble with it. It varies on the situation. So, but the exciting thing is that this is a very sacred moment in which you can sort of make a path for yourself for the oncoming years. Let me explain why. For those of you who have been with me through conversations about the Grand Earth Trine or about the Kite formation over the last 2 years, sorry, some of this is going to be redundant, but hopefully I'll say something that will give you insight. Essentially, as we know, the outer planets are forming a minor Grand Trine sextile. That's a sextile between Neptune and Pluto right here, and then Neptune and Uranus here. And Uranus and Pluto are forming a trine. As this is happening, these three outer planets are moving into the signs of Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini at the same time. So it's like this configuration that's shifting the outer planets into the air and fire triplicities, whereas before they were in earth and water signs. This is a massive shift of energy, switching from earth and water, where we've been, to fire and air. So we're about to experience a massive change, hopefully for the better. And of course, like I said in the intro, there's a difference between mundane astrology and personal astrology, and these nuances are very fickle. Like, what I'm saying by that is that in certain respects, it is warranted to be concerned about these transits entering fire and air, things like war, conflict, and so forth. However, all these transits also have a benefic quality to them, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. So I'm not gaslighting, I'm not trying to ignore the fact that Medusa is under, or actually Uranus is under Medusa, the fixed star, for, I don't know, 6 months, like a big chunk of this year. So I'm not ignoring that. But I do think that there's a really great potential for manifestation that's tied to the shift of the outer planets into the other signs. And so what can you do with this energy? What is this all about? Essentially, as a person, as an individual, you're in a moment in time in which a lot is changing. In about 2020, we had this concentration in Capricorn. You guys remember that, obviously. And the whole world stood still. That was, in a way, a final push of energy from the Earth, Capricorn, state power, governments, hierarchies, monetary systems type stuff. And so the world became very hierarchical, very how do I say, different groups of people started really separating themselves from each other in these kinds of social strata. And so this was a echo from the past, so to speak, a past that we're still finishing up, to do with, capitalism, big governments, government initiated wars, all those things. Okay. And we were living in that as individuals. And so now as this shift is switching to fire and air, we are entering new dynamics, and there's a lot to say about that. You'll see that online. You'll hear about that from me. But for you to understand why Mercury here is so important, it's because you as a person are about to experience this massive shift. The things that were important for the majority of your life, all of us who are alive now, are no longer going to have the same way that they function. New things will become important. There will be new authority figures, new leaders, new value systems, new priorities. So everything is changing. And so that's what the internet is talking about. That's what books are talking about right now, this massive shift. So why is this such a magical moment? Because underneath this massive shift, we have Mercury. And Mercury is low-key the magician, right? We know this. Mercury is in charge of communication, but he is the magician, and especially out of the personal planets, which apply directly to us, he's able to initiate energy and work with energy to set it in particular trajectories and directions. This position that Mercury is at over the next 48 hours, 2 days, from September 24th through about 26th, 27th, is the last time any planet will form an aspect to Pluto in the anaretic degree. That's a very special degree in Capricorn, and Neptune, and Uranus in Taurus over Algol, Medusa, which is it's a very, very charged energy, okay? Very, very strong. Again, not good nor not bad, just very strong. And so this magician placement, transit, Mercury, the planet, is the last planet that will form an aspect to these other two planets. And if we look even bigger, it is including Neptune and Pisces. And so when we look at Neptune and Pisces, or include it in our consideration, it is creating a massive kite that I've been talking to you guys about for a while now. And so Neptune too is entering Aries. And so this is triggering a cathartic moment in time when everything from your entire life, everything that's happened until now, is coming into completion as we set off on this new path, this transition. The next planets that will be forming aspects to Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus in the minor Grand Trine sextile will be doing so from Libra. So it's the end of the Virgo energy creating this aspect. So we're closing out everything that we've gained and grown from in earth and water, and we're about to experience this from the air and fire side of things. And just to clarify a bit further, there is going to be 2 more instances of activation of the Grand Earth Trine and the Kite. On October 1st, the moon will transit this position at apogee. That means the moon will be at furthest position from the Earth. And on October 28th, again, the moon will come back to this position and complete the Grand Trine and Kite for the last time. After that, Pluto will move into Aquarius and will break this iteration. The iteration will continue right into next year. In fact, the Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus are in aspect to each other until the 2030s. So they will be holding, with some degree, this minor Grand Trine sextile until the 2030s. However, after this point, October 28th, when the moon is in this position where Mercury is now, it is going to be out of sign because Pluto will already be in Aquarius. And then Neptune and Uranus will meet it later on. So the energy is shifting. So we have 3 more iterations in Earth, but Mercury is the last one. And as the magician, the one that controls the word, logos, it is the manifester. And so it's calling upon you now to understand your life. And you have likely a strong awareness of where things are going or where you want to take things in life. Take those visions seriously. Take your vision of where you want to go seriously. Do not doubt yourself. I would say document it in some way, write it down, keep a note for yourself. Whatever you do, a voice message to yourself that you can listen to later. Do an exercise like this. Record yourself speaking to yourself and tell yourself your dreams in this last instance. Maybe do that in the next 48 hours. That's a really great way to set intentions in like gentle ways without doing crazy magic. Although if you do practice magic, this is a very active configuration that you can use in order to set intentions and direction. But I would really advise you to not engage in any like dark magic or anything like that because of Uranus's position. And so the types of magic that this area or this alignment really will respond well to are several. There's a fixed star here called Libra, and so this is a star in the Holy Grail constellation, the cup, and it represents the cup of Apollo. It is extremely benefic, and it rules over 2 things: psychic activity and wealth. Seriously. So Capricorn energy in particular, where Pluto has been, is really linked to wealth and riches. So if you are interested in generating wealth or experiencing wealth, this is a really good transit to attach yourself to that energy, provided that you do so in a mindful manner, non-problematic, let's say. Okay, so if you're like, I'm going to steal the world, and greediness and, evil, that's going to really end up poor for you. But if you have ambitions or goals or that you want to achieve, this is the transit for you. You can use all this energy to set you in the right path. So the fixed star here is greatly benefic, and it really resonates well with Mercury, because Mercury is 2 energetic frequencies. It has the communication quality of it that really links well to Libra's psychic ability component, the ability to see and be a visionary. And the second is riches, which is manifestation, the mercurial ability to create, right? And so I would advise, if you want to, and you don't have to be deep into magic, manifestation, these kinds of things to do it, just with good intentions, record yourself telling yourself what you want, or however you conceive of this type of energy work. But I would advise you to do it in 2 ways. Either you can use this energy, this final energy of Earth, right? Grand Earth triplicity, Grand Earth Trine. Either you use this energy to understand, which is the psychic ability component of Libram, which is I want to understand this issue that I've been dealing with the majority of my life. This is the time for answers, and Mercury can provide that for you. So set the intention now over the next 48 hours. Or you can manifest, but in a healthful way. For example, I want to start a business and I want to travel the world. This is a wonderful time to look forward into the earth and, into the air and fire energy and say, in my heart, this is what my heart wants. You may be surprised at what you will get out of this, that you actually might get what you even believe, even if you believe it's unreachable at this time. The most powerful intentions here are in the context of what you've learned so far within the earth energy. It's very, very powerful, very like last point stop, very anaretic energy. Speaking of anaretic, the reason this is a 48-hour portal is because Mercury will move into the anaretic degree of Virgo as well, and will be in a direct trine to Pluto. So we're moving, off of a trine to Uranus into a trine with Pluto. And in fact, it is a Grand Earth Trine, but it's kind of like the emphasis shifts from one planet to the other. But it's all a massive synchronicity. And so, just set your intentions. What did I want to say about Neptune? Oh, yeah. So Neptune is really activated here as well. And so this connects the giant kite, switching these outer planets. The outer reality is shifting into air and fire. It's centered on Neptune as the midpoint between Uranus and Pluto, and it's shifting that awareness into air and fire. Very, very powerful, very, very beautiful. I wanted to kind of give you guys some idea in terms of the energy here. So we have a strong emphasis, obviously, on mutable energy in the chart right now between Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, Mercury and Virgo. There is an emphasis, and then, of course, the moon, which is when this all starts, and Jupiter in Gemini. So if you have mutable placements in your chart, your engagement with this energy is super intense. All roads in this chart point to Mercury for the most part, not all of them, but many, which means that Mercury is super powerful in these last 2 degrees. So if you have Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius placements, they are interacting with all of this deeply and intensely. So, we'll talk about it as we do the all signs, but just a heads up, mutable signs, pay attention. The other signs that are very active, but are sort of peripheral to this, it's not the central point. It's not the central point of this, but it's very close. The cardinal signs are deeply activated in this chart as well. The North Node is in Aries, Sun is in Libra. Happy birthday, Libras. South Node is in Libra as well. Pluto, of course, is in Capricorn. So if you have cardinal placements, you too are in this energy. However, for cardinal placements, I would suggest that this has more to do with where we're going. So you're kind of already more into next year's energy, whereas the mutable signs are more finishing up. They're mutable, right? The signs of the mutable signs are closing out energies. So it's like an interesting, very poetic synchronicity that they're the ones that are carrying this energy out under this transit. Now let's talk about elements. So elemental dignities. Of course, earth signs, it's a Grand Earth Trine, are deeply activated. So if you have earth placements, really pay attention to this, especially if they're in the last 5 degrees of a sign. And then also water, of course, because Neptune is activated in Pisces. We have Venus in Scorpio ruling over the sun in Libra. And so we have this deep engagement for the water signs in this as well. And in some ways, I don't want to get into this, but with the Kite and Neptune here right now, it's almost like Neptune is very active. Let's just put it this way. Neptune is sort of, it's sort of the context, the coconut tree of it all. And so in some ways, Pisces transits are deeply connected. Just kind of, it gives me the vision of like what is it? Elephants holding up the earth, or a turtle holding up the earth. I think there's different stories to do with that, but Neptune is that animal that's holding up all of us at this time, the energy of the world. And so it's kind of like, for your personal astrology, it's a synchronicity between you and everything around you. So you're in perfect synchronicity if you're a Pisces right now with that shift, that subtle shift. And I'm not trying to be ambiguous in describing this to you, but I think it's going to be very different for everyone, and based on your chart. Everybody's going to have a slightly different relationship to this. But overall, that's the gist. It's just set your intentions now. And then also air signs are deeply activated. We have a Gemini moon. We have Jupiter in Gemini. And then we have all the Libra placements that are active as well. So if you have air sign placements, including Aquarius, and especially if you have Aquarius, actually, because if you have Aquarius placements, then we have a Grand Earth Trine for you. And so you are also really active in this, but this energy is more aligned with kind of next year. So it's almost like you're already there. You're already there and waiting. So that's kind of what I wanted to introduce today. I didn't want to make this super long, but I just thought it would be interesting to share this with you. In terms of trajectories, like in terms of like how this will play out, we covered that the moon will transit this position on October 21st and the 28th. A lot of what happens now will be reflected by the moon on the 1st and the 28th. You will gain insight on what it all means. So be patient, allow this energy to work itself out, and allow it to kind of explain to you what it means to you. But there are also eclipses here. So on September 21st, 2025, there's a solar eclipse here in Virgo. And so this energy is tiding us in to that moment. There will be likely a big event in your life around that time that's connected to here and now. So you want to start tracking it with the dates I provide you with. There's also a new moon on September 18th, 2028. So just to look a little bit further, there's a new moon that's going to happen in this position as well in 2028. So there's going to be a big event in 2025 connected to this, but then there's going to be some kind of an evolution of this energy in 2028. So that's more long-term sort of perspective. So I hope this was helpful. And so let's do the all sign, but I just wanted to go over this and see if it helps. So thank you for anybody for copying and pasting that statement. We are running out of time, so I'm not sure if we can do anything now, but it doesn't hurt to try. So I'm going to go through the all sign now. And purposefully, I'm trying to avoid the comment section. I'll read your comments after we're done. But if anybody feels called to copy and paste what I said in the comments so that other people can see that number and possibly call, or you can't call it, you have to text it. But if you do so, then you should try. It's the number of Kamala Harris's office. So to bring their awareness to this, it's a professional number. Don't joke around with it. It'll not be good for you. Okay, so let's go through the signs and give you an idea. I just wanted to do a bit of a psychic message for you guys under this, because Mercury is here, so this might be some insight. I'll describe the situations that I see. Maybe it will give you some guidance. So yeah, I hope it helps. Sorry. Okay. So, oh, and I just want to say, with this situation that's happening in the US, in Missouri, this is very serious. This is something that affects your citizenship, and it is a very bad precedent for to happen. And I promise you guys, I'm not going to get like political and all this, but I just really want to emphasize, I'm not doing this. I think that this is extremely serious, that this is happening. And so not everybody loves politics or is interested in it, but I think that this is, in terms of a severe event in political history, this is extreme. And so these types of things happen to people, but I think it's important that people also understand that this has far-reaching implications, that if we enable things like this to happen when somebody's innocent, and then capital punishment is imposed on them, this is a precedent that is incredibly dangerous. So yes, I'm concerned about this person's life, but I'm also concerned about the precedent that it's setting. So I think you should take it very seriously. Okay. Okay. So now let's do the first sign before I start getting too caught up in this. Okay, so we have Leo, because once I start talking about it, I won't be able to stop. So let's talk about how this will impact you and your sign. Okay, so Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Hey guys, so we've talked about this before, but for the purpose of Mercury, which is right here, this is for you. I think for you, this is really deeply focused on the types of, I think the focus for you is deeply about relationships and the types of people that allow you to be who you want to be. And so what you may be experiencing at this time is how people are giving you space to be yourself. Okay. And so I think that the question, you're connecting the dots and you're looking at your reality, and you are realizing or just seeing the writing on the wall in terms of how people let you express yourself. Okay. And I think that's the message of this. And then we have the Nine of Swords. And then we have the Lovers. And then we have the Three of Cups. So it does seem as though there's a back and forth relationship with people as a pattern. Maybe for some of you this is active, but maybe for some of you this is retroactive to do with the past. I see someone getting hurt over and over again and then going back, like a love-hate sort of cyclical nature to a relationship. And so this aspect is talking to you. You are being limited by the behaviors of others. They are not allowing you space to be you, and specifically to garner resources for yourself in the way that you would want to. So think about whether or not other people are influencing you from doing what you need to do for yourself, and in what ways that is happening. And if you've already done the work with regard to this, ask yourself, in what ways are you still letting it happen, or is there anything else that you can change to become more independent from the negative influence of relationships? It feels very triggering, these cards, not for me personally, but I think you guys are getting sucked into emotional triggers. And I do understand that there's deep love connections here between yourself and others. But I think that you're going in a cycle of love, hate, and just trying to clamor back to something that you feel was lost or whatnot. And I don't want to project too much into your situation, but an awareness of where you're at and how other people are allowing you to exist, and maybe how they're holding you back, how that dynamic is holding you back. You may want to consider under this transit. And so also plan out how you are going to break out of this system, right? This pattern. Okay, so let's see the next sign. Hey, Aries, let's ask about your energy. So Aries, hi Aries. So Mercury is in your position here in the 6th house. I have a feeling that right away it feels as though it feels as though you have everything aligned to achieve what you want. So you do the work well and you get to where you want to be very efficiently. This is a time in which there is a very strong alignment for you in terms of getting what you want through work, through dedication, applying force and energy. However, it feels as though there are either people who are meddling. This isn't like Leos. If you just listen to Leos, this isn't like a lover. This is external factors. Either people are meddling and messing you up, or circumstances are out of sync with the balance of things. And so with this Mercury transit, you may be called upon to see how you can fix that, how you can change that, how to get yourself away from the dynamic. And I do see that some of you are experiencing a pattern of victimization, where you're victimized and victimized by circumstances, and you feel vulnerable to it, and you don't really necessarily know how to respond to it. And so I feel as though a big message here for Mercury is to how to get out of the way of that circumstance in which you are being, in which your efforts and your stable foundation is eroded and taken down. Okay. So again, this is about finding a good path and seeing beyond this. And over the next 48 hours, any kind of work that you want to do between understanding it, psychic understanding, or intention setting is really helpful. And by October 1st and October 28th, you should have some kind of answer. One of the things, I don't know if I stressed this in the beginning, one of the most powerful things anyone can do right now is ask for answers. Just not anyone. You can ask people about it, but I mean in terms of magical understanding or psychic understanding. You can set the intention that I want to see the truth of this. And when you invoke that, when you ask for that, then you will have that clarified for you and presented to you. The universe will present that to you. So I think one of the most powerful ways to work with this energy, to ask the 5, like how, why, when, what, all of those things. Let's see your tarot cards, Aries. So we have the 3 of Cups. It's the same. This 3 of Cups isn't someone you know already. It's the same type of person over and over again, showing up and destroying things for you. That's what it feels like. The same type of situation. And I feel you feel vulnerable to it. Like no matter where you go, there's a person like this. That's what it shows up. It's like, oh, there's that person again. But you have the 2 of Cups. And so I don't want you to, one of the things that I'm picking up for you is that there's this feeling of isolation and aloneness through experiencing this, that you're by yourself, you know? Turn to the people who love you and allow yourself to engage in love. And that's the beautiful energy of the sun here in your 7th house at this time. There are people, not that person, not that situation, not that type of person that shows up, but turn to the people in your life who do show you love and support, and you will find that there. But it's not a specific person. I don't know if I made that clear. It's not like the same person knocking on your door over and over again. This is really the same type of person. It's the same person that you experienced stress around when you were 10, when you were 20, when you were 30. It's not the same person over those decades, but it's the same type of person. It's almost like a shadow or something like that. It's a sixth house thing, right? And so this is a great time for you to understand how that's happening for you, but more importantly, how to fix it, to do something else. And in the meantime, to address your feelings of worry or feelings of insecurity. Don't take for granted the love that's around you. Even if it's not connected to your ultimate goals, there are people who care and love you, and they connect with them. That's what this is saying, okay? So even if it's not exactly what you want, connect to the people who love you, and get connected to that energy there. So that love is available to you, okay? So let's see the next sign. Okay, so we have next is Capricorn. Let's see what the energy for Capricorn is. I hope you guys are copying and pasting that message about Marcellus Williams. And if anybody feels like copying, actually, you know what? I can do it. Because I cannot read the chat, but copy paste the message. So I'm going to copy, oh yeah, there we go. So you guys, if you want to text that number, do so now. Okay, so Capricorn. Hey Capricorn, let's talk about your Mercury transit. And so your Mercury transit, like all these Virgo transits, are happening at your MC, at the top of the chart, the top of the sky. Okay. For you, this is really about setting a course of action into play. So it feels as though you have held back on doing something for a long time. Maybe other things were in the way and you had to put things off. I feel like there's a lot of delays that you have experienced in trying to make something happen in your life. This transit is activating your ability to go for it, so to speak. I've been getting this message for Capricorns for several weeks now. This energy of that something in your life has been kind of holding back, or a project that you haven't actually done because other things are in the way, distractions and those kinds of things. Mercury here, I feel, is your portal, your kind of ability to go through and go after the thing that you want. It's very productive. So the energy here has everything to do with you engaging in energy that is of your own creation, of your own mind, in order to bring something into manifestation, into reality. So that energy is Mercury in that position right now. Let's see your cards. We have the Seven of Cups. I feel as though you've been dealing with a lot of confusion by other people for a long time. Like people creating distractions and chaos around you. Hermit. A lot of this has to do with your own path. And then we have Four of Cups. Okay. So I think one of the main things, because Mercury in Virgo, that's the Hermit, right? And so I think that the answer for some of you, the message is that you have to go at it alone. That doesn't mean you have to be lonely or alone forever, but it is very much your solitary path. You have to go on this trajectory without checking in on others, or without the expectation that other people will get you there. Like you have to get there yourself. That doesn't mean that you'll never have like partners, or you'll never have people to work with you towards where you want to go. But this energy before in Earth, the Capricorn, Pluto, and the Uranus in Taurus and Mercury in Virgo is really talking about you. This is you taking this path, you taking this trajectory. I think that there's some glimmer of doubt and question marks about whether or not there's a doubt about it. It's very subtle. It's not very strong. There's a doubt about whether or not, because I think on some level you believe that doing it in groups will actually lead you to great success, and you doubt that not doing it in a group will achieve the goals that you're after. But the first stage here is you taking your own step in this direction, not dependent on anybody else. I see things like building up skills, personal skills, building up, like making decisions for yourself. It's almost like starting a business on your own and setting up how it works by yourself so that you are the ultimate decision maker in this. And I don't think that's your goal, but I think that's you have to create the system. You have to create the situation. Now, the things that you build up right now are going to transform into your career starting in 2025. So don't hold back on this energy. Initiate it now. Create those ideas. Create these, like whatever's on your mind, whatever you're wanting to make real, make it real. Even and don't necessarily turn to other people for advice so much. Don't turn to other people for approval. I think that you need to just trust yourself and trust your own discernment here in terms of what makes sense or which direction to take. Specifically, there's like 20 years of history of lived experience that you have that's informing where you are going, right? And so this informed information, this information that you have from your first person experiences, you're the only one who can deduce out of that, pull out of that the truth, right? So if you start delegating to others, I don't think that they will be able to make as informed decisions as you. So you need to do it. Okay, so let's see the next message. The next message is for Scorpio. Hey Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's take a look at Scorpio. Okay, so Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hello, how are you? Let's take a look at the Mercury transit. For you, I think that there's a real beginning here of new friendships, okay? So for you, overall, the pattern is that out of the experiences, specifically the closer relationships you've had for a while, those relationships have informed where your relationships are going. And at this time, you will likely experience exposure to where relationships are taking you in the future, what kind of friends you will have, and what kind of people you will meet. At this time, you may meet actually people that you will become friends with, but there's messages coming to you through Mercury about the types of friends, the kinds of connections you're getting, the direction you should be taking, and your friends are going to be sort of the representation of where your life is going. So it's a type, like for example, when you are around friends that love a specific sport, then your life sort of gets inundated with that sport as well. So there's shared hobbies, shared interests, and so that reflects this energy. One of the things about Mercury here that I'm picking up, this is a psychic thing, but it feels as though you're like turning your head and then suddenly seeing people that were not there before. So this feels very new. This feels like you've sort of got a handle on certain interpersonal things. You've come to realization about certain interpersonal things, and you understand how they work in your life, like the important life lessons or boundaries with people, or understanding where you and them sort of mesh, or like you understand people in your life on a more profound level here. And out of all that understanding, the manifestation is new friends, new connections, people to go with you on the journey moving forward. Let's see your tarot cards for this. That's cool. I really am seeing this energy of like a head turning for Scorpio and their attention being shifting in some way. So we have the Magician. And then we have the Two of Pentacles. That's Mercury, remember? This could also be the act of a particular friend. What I mean by that is some kind of friend initiates your connection. So there may be like a gatekeeper, somebody who's like the key keeper, the person who is able to like pull you into a circle of friends. So you have a good friend and they sort of take you along, and from that place you will meet other people. And I think that there's a lot of doubt in this situation. I think it's a slow burn situation, which means that it happens over a long period of time, a couple years maybe. So don't rush, but that shift is happening here. And I think that there's this feeling that you've come out of the wilderness for this. Again, this is Virgo, Mercury. I'm not surprised that we see Hermit over and over right now. I think this card will come up a lot today. But it feels as though you're coming out of the wilderness, Scorpio. Sort of like you've been alone, be it physically, mentally, emotionally, for a long time. And I think the other thing that I'm getting is a plethora of people. So not necessarily like a best friend is coming your way, but like a variety of different types of relationships, like new people are kind of trickling into your life. Remember what I said about the eclipse? Give yourself the timeline between now and September 21st, 2025. That's when you get this new moon eclipse here in the 11th house. You'll know more about this by then. So it's starting to happen. And like, I don't think you have to really try or do any, I think it's underway. Okay. So here is the next message. The next message is for Virgo. Let's see Virgos. So Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's see what we have for Virgo under this Mercury transit in Virgo. So this is the last big transit in Virgo for a while. And so I think that the next, well, there will be other things, but the next transits that I think that are significant for Virgo that you guys want to be aware of, whether it's Sun, Moon, or Rising Virgo, are transits connecting to the Pisces eclipse that just happened. So we're looking at March or April of next year. So Virgo's kind of off the hook for now. I'll tell you if something else comes up that's worth noting, but your energy is sort of, how do I say this? You've had a busy season and now you get a little bit of processing time or do whatever you need to do, less interruptions. So that's like a general statement of the astrology. For Virgos and Mercury here, I really feel as though if Virgo hasn't radically changed their space, the spaces they exist in, the places they go, this is a time in which you will make fundamental changes about yourself to enable these new places to happen. So if you feel as though you've been in a rut, Virgo, and that change hasn't happened yet, I think it's going to happen now. And it has a lot to do with your tolerance of things. So for example, if you and a friend always go to see movies, I'm not a big movie buff. I like really artistic movies. And randomly, like I'll watch like some like art film or something like that. But I'm not a big movie fan. I find them kind of tedious and boring a lot of times. Just my personal bias. But let's say you go to movies with friends and you have this repeat pattern of movie going, because a lot of people do that, like Netflix or, go see a movie, whatever. And it can get very repetitive and kind of like an autopilot sort of thing between people. And so in this energy, you may be kind of doing it because that's what you do together. But I think that if it's that redundant thing that's going on, it doesn't have to be movies, but if there's like a redundancy in what you do and it's not something you really enjoy, it's likely that activity is on its way out. That's that Uranus here. And if that transition hasn't happened, it's going to happen now. So the next time your friend or whoever you go with tries to suggest that, you'll be like, let's do something else. And it'll be very easy to happen. Like the energy is going to really work with you on this one, which means that maybe before that friend would have said, no, let's go see a movie. But maybe this time, like it's the energy caters to this initiation from you. So just go with it. It's time for a change. You've been in a bit of a rut, and it doesn't have to do with like hanging out with people. It's about doing things yourself. This is the time in which you change your environment, which will open the doors to new things. This Uranus transit in Taurus hopefully has done good things for Virgo. And so, you know, part of the energy of Pluto and Capricorn is power and control, but an aspect of power and control in the positive sense is understanding when to let it go, right? So great leaders are not necessarily like power-hungry despots. They're actually, we often talk about Pluto and Capricorn in like this despotic sort of way, like it's a bad guy imposing power. But it's actually like good leadership is also understanding when to step back, when to be humble, when to just like take a chill pill and all of these things, when to give people autonomy, when to give like your subordinates an ability to like be independent and give them power and delegate to them. So essentially in the 29th degree of Capricorn, we have like understanding of power dynamics at its like highest level. So whatever lesson you needed to learn in power and Capricorn, in Pluto and Capricorn, you're kind of coming into realization about that. All of us are. And so Pluto and Capricorn at the 29th degree isn't necessarily just about like, yes, we will see these extremes of power. You know, we're not going to talk about mundane astrology, but it's everywhere. But also you will see the heights of like benefic and positive use of power and force in good ways, and that are really great. And so yes, this sort of, I don't know how I got on this tangent. I started explaining Pluto and Capricorn. There was a point, but I distracted myself. Sorry. But yeah, the Mercury here is also about creating new spaces, right? Creating new spaces for yourself and changing a new path in which you exist in a more free way. I guess that was my point. There was something specific that I was aiming at, but I forgot. But it has a lot to do with your relationships with other people as well. That's very central to this energy. There's a distancing of, if you feel imposed upon, maybe that's what I was getting at. If you feel imposed upon, Virgo, this is a time in which that kind of answers itself, the imposition of somebody else's power. And you see through like the layers of it, which allows you to reach for and attain that space or environment, the third space, they say, right? The third space for Virgo, where you actually can express yourself or be of yourself. Okay? So you're finding your place, right? So in like, sorry, I got weird. That's too Piscean, very Piscean. The energy here I'm very distracted by this situation. I'm sorry, I'm doing my best. But it's bottom line for Virgo, this has a lot to do with essentially finding for yourself a new space where you can go further in things and breaking out of your shoebox and going somewhere better. Spaces, places in the heart, emotional places, you know. Just third spaces where you can exist more free. Okay, then you have the sun. That's nice. And then we have the 9 of Swords. And then the third card is the 7 of Swords. It's a pretty intense energy. I think that there's an energy of getting through obstacles. Maybe that's what Pluto, my talk about Pluto and Capricorn was about. Getting through obstacles to get where you want. That place is waiting for you. And with Mercury here, this is a call to action. With Mercury here, I would ask, like, what kind of things are still holding me back from within myself, Virgo, first house? What things are holding me back? Where am I losing water? Like, if you imagine holding a balloon and having a hole in it, you're losing water somewhere. And so you can ask under Mercury, like, where am I not making the connection? Where am I losing ground? Where am I holding myself back from being in that space that I already am familiar with, that I'm already getting close to, right? So there's this 9 of Swords and 7 of Swords, which means obstacles. And it means there's like a confusion about what to do, okay? There's a confusion about what to do, and some of the things that you're looking at, Virgo, are pretty dark or pretty, how do I say this? Like hard to look at, so much so that you don't want to look at them. And so I think that, and everybody goes through this, so don't be triggered by this, but in this is talking about those dark places. And in order to navigate and to get to Uranus, to get to like a change in your environment, you need answers about what this is. And this has to do with other people too. It has to do with other people, your environment, probably Pluto in the 5th house, and asking yourself, like, at which point can I liberate? There's like an interconnectedness. I think it's different for every Virgo, but it has to do with like how people around us influence us to get to where we want, and why we're not going after the sun on account of logic or reason that's set against us. Okay, so let me know if you're a Virgo and that made sense, or if you have questions about what I just said, let me know in the comments when I post, and then I'll answer them there. Okay, so next sign, we have Libra. Hi, Libra. So I think for Libras, this is almost like an energy that has to do with anticipation. For Libra and Aquarius specifically, it's almost like the precursor to a whole kind of dam opening up, a lot of like energy coming through next year, right? And so it is fundamental to your progress, but yet it's sort of hidden. So if you have strong Libra placements, on the surface, it may not seem as explicit. It's almost like a dress rehearsal before the main act, or actually being in theater. I don't know if any of you have done theater, but like behind the scenes, as actors go on stage, behind the scenes, people are just like hanging out, and they're anticipating when they're gonna set out to perform. So it's that moment before you go out on stage. You're in that moment. While other people are already on stage, you're waiting for your character's turn, and you're sort of in that nervous kind of anticipatory place. And so Mercury here has a lot of hidden messages for you, has a lot of insight. I think that a lot of it, how do I say this? A lot of this is the building blocks of your experience, Libra, which means that a lot of it has to do with like deep inner truths. But at the same time, the 12th house can be very nonsensical. So even though it's talking about facts that pertain to you, those facts are sort of displaced from who you are. And so those facts, how do I say this? It could be, how do I say this? Your desire may be to understand, and it may feel as though it's within your reach to understand because it seems so true to you. But the information here, where Mercury is in the 12th house, it may be your information, but not actually the information you need. It's almost like it came too late, or it applies to a different time, or it's like bits and pieces, fragmented and not necessarily of use. However, in this whole process, you are going to experience awareness that is going to help you to understand like big patterns in your life. And next year, I suppose, you will understand this time better. So once these once the Grand Trine starts to happen in Libra, things will materialize and you will understand some of the things that are happening now. That's what I think. I think right now it's like very fragmented, very all over the place, and very kind of like behind the scenes information and stuff that doesn't pertain to you. It's like getting bits and pieces of information about yourself, but it's not really relevant, and it's all fragmented. It's like defrag, or like when you have little bits of information everywhere, and in and of themselves, they don't make much sense as a whole, and you could almost like a puzzle put them together, but there's just too many pieces. It feels very messy. Okay. So you may be feeling or having this experience that there's so many truths around right now, but they're disjointed. And I think that chasing those truths, I mean, if you want to do like a metaphysical, like soul searching, psychic awareness thing, then do it, but don't feel like your life depends on it. And I think your answers about the information that you're getting about yourself right now will come next year when we have the similar transit through the first house of Libra. It's going to be right in the center. So you're going to have a lot of epiphanies next year. So just pay attention to what's happening without too much judgment right now at this time. Allow it to happen, and then it will make sense next year when you get there. Okay, so we have the Knight of Cups. You could be around a very psychic person who's giving you lots of bits and pieces of information. If you've ever known a psychic, like truly, really psychic person, it never comes in one dialogue. It's like the best psychics I know gather little bits of information without attachment to, like, they don't want it to be all perfect right off the bat. It takes a long time for bits to come in. So this is someone who's offering insights, but they're little bits and pieces that don't fit perfectly together. And then we have the Eight of Cups. There's some kind of journey or a change of place. And then we have the Chariot. I think that there's a lot of signaling of a change for you, change of home. I think some of you may have to move to get out of the place you're in, whether it's the house you're living in, the city, the region. Just get out of your immediate environment. I think what I see or I feel is that there's a lot of history there, and it has like an energetic signature, like memories and whatnot that you're connected with. And when you move, when you change, it is going to give you a cathartic moment where you feel like it's closure. Then not everyone can move. Some people have mortgages. Some people have kids. There's a lot of different circumstances. So not necessarily everybody can leave, but you will feel like a night and day sort of experience. I think you're in this Eight of Cups, and what's coming is the Seven of Chariot trumps. And I think that 7 is, again, when everything starts shifting to Libra. So in other words, I think you're sort of in the past right now as well. And so I think maybe a part of you is already done with it, and that's the confusion. And I think that you're waiting for that moment of closure, and I think it's coming. And I think that you're sort of ready for it before it happens. Okay? And I think that that's like everybody's psychic natural ability to be aware that like Libra is going to be the focal point from here on in. And there's going to be such a focus, especially at the first degrees of Libra. And suddenly it's almost like walking out onto the stage, right? Like you've been behind and now you're walking and you're like the main character and you're about to, perform your role. So right now you're in this kind of, it's almost like a liminal space, isn't it? it's almost like a liminal space where you're sort of waiting for something to come, and the main show is starting. Like the act is starting, and you're right there before it starts. Okay? So, in other words, don't feel pressure to have answers about this yet. I think that what's confusing you is that you're sort of ready, but it's not your time yet. Okay? Okay. So, next sign. We're about halfway through now. Let me just check in with the chat. Well, I'm not going to copy and paste. I just looked at the time, so I'm no longer going to talk about the situation now, because what's done is done and what's not done is not done. So I'm not going to check the chat either, because it will just, an answer will devastate me. So, or distract me completely if it's a positive one. But anyway, and all respects to his family and my condolences if what's happened has happened. Okay, so next sign, we have Pisces. It's wild that it's actually 5 after 3 Pacific, which is 6:05. So maybe we'll just give a minute. I'm going to, before we do Pisces, I'm just going to do a minute of silence. So I hope you guys just sit here with me in silence for 1 minute in his memory if he has lost his life. Okay, so let's read for Pisces. Okay, hey Pisces. So for you, the focus here is on your relationship with other people. In past readings for Pisces, what I saw was waiting for people to be on the same page as you. I feel as though that there's energy of that you feel a disjunction from the people around you, because your lived experiences that you've had up until this point may have given you awareness and experience that makes it hard for you to relate to the people around you. So there's this question like, will they understand me? Will we still find common ground? There's a question mark there, okay? And so now with Mercury there, I think there's some answers that you could be asking, whether or not you are getting, understood, and whether or not this situation is the correct one. So this is where you could be asking or setting the intention that over the next month, you will want to know if this relationship is actually in alignment with who you are now. Okay, a lot of the energy moving forward into 2025 will be your awareness regarding the relationships in your life and seeing whether or not they're on the same page as you, and that's shifting. And if somebody's not in alignment, they will go. And if you will also meet other people that will be surprisingly well aligned with you to who you are now. So it's a social shift for you. We have the Knight of Swords. It's a challenging energy. And then we have the 10 of Cups. And then we have the Knight of Wands. So there's definitely you're shifting between people. You're shifting between people who are confronting towards people who are supporting and empowering you in the direction that you're going. And I think that it's like a gentle shift where I think at this time you may have still been experiencing some degree of confrontation or criticism, with Saturn especially in your first house. But as Saturn moves out of your first house, I think people or specific close-knit people are going to come in and support you. I think maybe you are having the question about whether or not there's alignment between you and the people around you, because maybe you understand on some level already that there's a better fit for you in the world. Okay, so even though you don't know it yet, or maybe you're not there yet, a part of you already knows that you're into going in a new direction, and some of this friction that you're experiencing is actually telling you there's a misalignment between who you are. They don't get you because they don't understand the angle from which you're coming from, so they criticize what you're doing or what you're saying because there's not an alignment there anymore, right? Maybe there was before, maybe there never was. And so now you're entering a phase in which you're going to meet people and connect with people that you already know who understand it. So it's more affirmative energy. Wait till Saturn enters Aries for like the full steam ahead with that, but you're already getting insight into that. I think right now, while Mercury is finishing up its transit of Virgo, and the eclipse next year in Virgo on September 21st, 2025, those are going to be still moments in which significant events happen for you, Pisces, in which you have like reframe your relationship, okay? And 7th house is like best friend, close employer, that you're someone you're close with at work, or a partner, okay? So romantic partner, someone you're very close with. So your teammate, okay? So here is the next sign. We have Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's talk about this Mercury transit on your IC here on the bottom of the chart. I think that the circumstances that you have been under, Cancer, up until this point, I think the pressure, the external pressures that you have been shouldering from people around you are causing you to make a change within who you are. This is happening from your closest friends, and it's coming from your social circles in general. There's a subtle, underneath the surface, manipulation, maybe not intentional, that's for pigeonholing you in your circles of friends and people you interact with. That pigeonhole, the kind of stereotype that you are being forced into by your primary relationships, replicates conditions under which you were raised. So whatever your circumstances are, but that's limiting. And so under this transit, I think you're really differentiating your own experience from the environment that you're in. And I think that you're branching out. I feel like this is the time in which you feel the desire and the need to break away from that early childhood conditioning, right? So if they always told you to be like nice, or like, you have to be friendly, or you have to, never say anything out of turn or confront anything, love and light. And that's detrimental to you because you're never being true to you. This is the time when you feel the pressure from your social environment, from people closest to you, and you feel suffocated by it. You're like, no more of this. And so now you're just like, you're seeing the connection between your early experiences and how you're living now, and hopefully you're confronting it in some way. So there's this, I'm not going to play along with their expectations of me sort of thing. Okay. Let's see. We have the Chariot next. And then we have the Hanged Man. And then we have the Hierophant. Okay. So those are huge. These are higher arcana. Cancer, Neptune, and Taurus energies. Okay, Cancer. I think you're having big adjustment into who you are as a person. And I think that I sense that there's this level of being kept quiet and being told to not speak in the past. And I think that's what you're rebelling against. I think that this Hierophant is kind of like, after all is said and done, after everything transitions, you are going to have a lot to say for yourself and your experiences, and use those experiences to kind of influence others or be a leader in your own right. In the meantime, I feel like there's a time in which you have to allow this to transition. I really feel that around Cancers, there are people that have a huge influence. Like people who have, like, either they're very powerful themselves or they have a stronghold in your life. There's a real feeling that Cancers are experiencing like very, very intense control. And this may not be intentional, but it is there. So it's really giving it time. I don't think the answer is confronting it directly. I think that finding solutions over a long period of time is the answer. The nice thing here is that probably at the time that you're watching this, or you're already aware of all this. This is the Chariot card. So you're already aware of what you're dealing with. You're emotionally aligned to who you want to be. It's all about just kind of like making it happen, or finding the appropriate way to make it happen, right? It's about finding the right path and the right opportunity. But what I see in front of you is you will find yourself, Cancer, in a authority position, the person that other people turn to for guidance. And you will be sharing a lot of wisdom with people moving forward out of this. But yeah, very, very like imposed upon power for a long period of time. And now you're kind of getting your own authority by having experienced that. Okay. So you know what you're talking about now. You have your insight and information. Okay. So next sign. Next sign is Sagittarius. Hey, Sagittarius, let's take a look at your chart. So Sag, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's see what's going on for Sagittarius. Okay, so Mercury is here in your chart. Well, for Sagittarius, going back, I think finances were a restricting factor. What I mean by that is that you didn't do everything you wanted to do because of financial limitations for a long time. So money was an issue. And this is like the first energy, that you didn't get to do certain things because you didn't have the correct resources. That started to enter into balance for Sagittarius. However, then circumstances got complicated around maybe not monetary issues even, but that complexity threw a lot of curveballs your way. So achieving what you wanted to achieve was not an answer either. And so you went from a place where you just didn't have the means to do something to starting to have the means, but then there were complications all around you, all sorts of events and experiences that you were having that were holding you back. And I think now everything's sort of coming, the ripple, or like everything settling down for you, Sag. So much so that you are able to now, things are stable or becoming more stable, and more money, more stability, more resources are available to you to reach for what you want. And so ultimately now you can start looking forward to the things that you want to do, to the things that you want to initiate. So this is an energy of outward looking to find the things you want to do, but also the connections you want to make, and start pushing forward to make it happen. I feel like many of you have waited a very long time for that to happen, for everything to sort of align for you. So now it's a very hopeful, I've been getting this for Sagittarius, this like, how do I say this? Like wanting to go for it, but having a lot of things in the way. It's so frustrating, like resources. And then like having the resources, but then like a bunch of things going wrong, or just being, like all over the place, like a big mess, and never being able to catch enough time to do it. And now I think that whatever it is that you want to do in life or in the world, this is the right time to set forward. You, under this Mercury transit over the next 48 hours, you may want to ask yourself, like, what is it that, like, say, first of all, that you can do the thing that you want. Ask in your heart what you want to do and go for it. This is a big green light for you to go after, and like really ask yourself, and don't say no to yourself in this energy. Don't be like, yes, but no buts. This is just, what do you want? What do you want in the world? And whatever's on your mind, I think you should go after it at this time. Here is the next energy. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. And then we have the Two of Pentacles. So, yeah, I think this is about sowing seeds. Wheel of Fortune is, initiating Jupiter. Where's Jupiter? Jupiter is in your 7th house. This may be through other people, but I don't think it's about other people. I think it's about you. And then we have the Two of Pentacles, which is sort of putting all the pieces together to make it work. But I think Mercury up here, and then the two moons on October 1st and 28th, you're going to get insights into how to achieve what it is that you've had been waiting for to achieve for so long. I think this is whatever's been holding you back, whatever it feels like. First money, and then dynamics. Like, by dynamics, I mean like you had to travel to work an hour and a half every day, so you never were able to like have time for anything else. So maybe you had money, but you didn't have the time, that kind of thing. And now everything's kind of balancing out to where you can actually go for it. You have the resources, and you have the balance of energy. Not enough, the distractions aren't so intense anymore. So the timing is really good, Jupiter. Maybe somebody's helping you. Maybe you got married, or maybe at work there's someone helping, like taking the pressure off of you. It feels like that. Somebody is like taking the pressure off of you. Something's going your way. And now you can go after the thing you've been hoping to go after. Okay? A very, very nice energy. Reach for the stars, or reach for the moon. Even if you miss, you land among the stars. That's such a nice saying. Okay. I say it backward. I usually say it backwards. Reach for the stars. Even if you miss, you'll land on the moon. Oh, okay. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's talk about your chart. Okay, so Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's see what this energy can do for you. Okay, so Gemini, like no surprise, big signature of your energy has been abrupt and sudden change. like drastic tower moments. Now that like we're finishing up, we can call a spade a spade. It's been like unexpected events left, right, and center. For the last sign I did, Sagittarius, it was more like kind of like things that are happening that are distracting. But for you, these are blunt and unexpected changes and ends, like layoffs. Sorry to say it, but like the loss of life of people around you, and just like really intense and unexpected things. A hummingbird just flew up, and I don't have my hummingbird feeders out, so that's a good sign for you, Gemini, that good things are coming your way. And so I feel like there's been a lot happening for you behind the scenes of your life, and not everything you understand. There's just like the matrix, you know, shifting and transforming. And Mercury here in some way is talking about your family, and it's talking about your connection with your family. Intuitively, what I'm getting is that they communicate to you powerful messages about what's important. You gain a lot by talking to them. Whoever your family is, they don't have to be blood relatives. Whatever is your family is your family. But they're giving you insight and understanding. They're shifting your perspective. So talk to your family. They will help you understand. And I think that they're sort of holding your hand out of this. They're carrying you in a better direction. And I think that when Uranus specifically moves into your sign, into Gemini, I think that it's going to be your time to do things different. It's going to be your time to implement, like express yourself and do things differently. And you will be center stage at that time. And you will be the one who is, it's going to be weird. It's going to be like wacky. I wouldn't call Gemini weird. That's like Aquarius. Gemini's wacky. No offense. But like, it is kind of like you do things a little kooky, you know, like a little tongue-in-cheek funny. And so when Uranus moves into Gemini, that energy, that kooky, funny sort of energy is going to really resonate well with you. And that part of your personality is going to shine. So I think that I get the vision of family holding your hand, carrying you out of this really like abrupt energy you've been under, where like a lot of tower moments happened, a lot of unexpected drastic endings, sort of chaotic, to be honest, and for a long time. And now you're sort of like recovery. And then when this transition happens and it's more with like Uranus in your sign, then it's going to be sort of how do I say it? It's going to be like it's going to be the Gemini show. It's going to be like funny. Like the funny aspects of your personality are going to get a lot of attention and like a lot of credit for it. Like people will like it. They will like resonate with it. So you're going to have an audience. You're going to be received, you know, you're going to be cherished, and suddenly you're center stage. And so with Mercury here, I think that has a lot to do with like speaking to family, having heart to heart with family. I get the vision of like holding hands with someone, not like necessarily romantic. I get more of a sisterly energy. Like it doesn't have to be two women, or it could be like any gender, but like fraternal, sort of like holding hands, guiding you out, a protective energy, somebody who's alive, right? Somebody who's like bringing you out of this phase. So I think you're in that phase of getting in touch with like people who you really love and who really love you, and they sort of take you forward out of the chaos. They're walking with you out of the chaos. Okay, let's see the tarot cards. Then you have the Four of Pentacles. And then you have the Queen of Wands. There's a very authority figure, Three of Wands. There's whoever you're interacting with has a deep authority figure type energy, implicit authority figure, you know, the spiritual mentor, the emotional mentor, the sister that you turn to, the very kind-hearted connection, spiritual connection with someone. And so they take you in a new direction through these conversations and connections, and they help you see your new trajectory. They help you see like where the possibilities are. You know, it's almost like allegory of the cave, and you're being guided out of the cave. You're being guided out of the cave, and like you see new possibilities in your life. So it's a nice energy here, and allow that like moon to transit through that and have your awareness. The eclipse next year will give you even more insight. So it's nice. It feels like, honestly, I'll be honest, like battered and bruised out of like the energy that you're leaving. Like, I don't mean like physically, I mean just energetically battered and bruised, and like you're not whimpering and you're healed, but like somebody's taking your hand because like you've been through so much, and so they're holding they're helping you out of that cave. They're helping you out of that, you know, dynamic, and they're energetically kind of showing your way. And the thing is that they're very alive. This is a live person who you have probably a family connection with. Okay, so here is the next message, Aquarius. Hey, there's my little weirdos. Let's look at your chart. Okay, so for Aquarius, we have Mercury in the 8th house. So I think that this is kind of a moment in which many Aquarians will put an end to certain things, and to old relationships, and to circumstances that were not serving them. I think they've been around for a while, and I think you already know it's the end, but you will definitely be pulling the plug on situations. In fact, Aquarians sort of like move ahead really quick, and then they wait for everybody to catch up. But under this energy, or even more, like there's this guy who lost a lot of weight, and he's like 2 steps ahead. I think he's like 6 steps ahead, you know, like Aquarian energy is like 6 steps ahead. You're so ahead of things right now, and you're kind of tidying up loose ends, and whether they know it or not, the people around you, you're going to be pulling the plug on certain relationships, because you already sort of have a feeling of where things are going for you, and you know what's in alignment and what isn't. So you might be quitting jobs, you might be quitting relationships, you might be quitting friends. You're sort of doing a deep clean of your environment, Aquarius, at this time. So over the next month, I think it's just going to be a huge transition for you that way. I think it's that really pulling the plug on things. And I expect people to, like, intuitively, it feels as though you're going to surprise people. You're going to they're not going to see it coming. Okay, so we have the Ace of Swords. And then we have the 9 of Cups. It really feels as though Aquarians feel like they're about to get what they want. I think that there's this feeling of the thing you've been waiting for is on your doorstep. It's almost like when people go to college, when kids go to college, and they sort of like are waiting through the last summer after graduation for, like, it's kind of like they're waiting, and they already know that they're kind of accepted to the college. They're just waiting for that time. For you, Aquarius, maybe it's not school. For some of you, it might be school, but it probably has a lot to do with work. I think that you figured out where you're going with things. And I think that that awareness in terms of where you want to be is sort of crystallized for you a bit more. You have, maybe when Pluto was in Aquarius earlier this year, you had like a deeper insight into where things are going for you. And now it's going to be, I think you're going to be pretty intense over the next month in terms of endings, because where you want to be and certain things now are not in alignment. So I think you're going to pull the plug on those things. Okay, so let's see the next message for Taurus, last but not least. So let's see your message, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so for Taurus, Mercury is finishing up of the 5th house. I think that there's a very significant relationship that's taught you a lot. And I think you're very grateful for it, Taurus. I think there's a loving relationship. Now, that can be different for people. When I say relationship, I mean romance. And I do mean platonic for some people. Because different people have different relationship. But the intuitive kind of feeling about this it feels more romantic. So for many of you, this is like a romantic experience that has really taught you a lot. And through this energy, I think that you are really thinking about that person and about what they brought into your life. There's like a deep significance there and a deep appreciation for how they changed you. We've had this really strange transit of Uranus and Taurus, which is in detriment, right? Like Uranus doesn't like to be in Taurus. You're a fixed sign and Uranus is change. But I think a little dose of change when you're a fixed sign is a good thing. So I think overall it's been this wonderful transit for Taurus. Kind of goes against what you actually are like, but I think it challenges you and brings you to new heights. And a little bit of this once in a while to bring in change is really helpful. I think one of the ways through which this happened for Tauruses is through relationships. So people came into your life who sort of brought change with them. You know, they forced you to change and they challenged you to change and brought that part of you out. And so I think that maybe some of it was somewhat against your will, but also at the same time, I think this is a time of really feeling fulfilled by what you had gone through and who you are now as a product of it. And I think that you're really getting ready to implement what you've learned now. It's been a big holding pattern for Taurus. You know, with every transit, I don't know if you guys watch me a lot, whoever's watching, but if you do watch me a lot, you know I have like my little favorites that come up, like Uranus in Taurus. I've been telling Virgos, I'm like, this is the best for you, you know, like for the entire time that it's been in there. But for you, I'm guessing this Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in the 2nd house, I'm really liking it for your energy. I don't know if this is my fan favorite. So I'm not saying it's the best one, but if you have Taurus placements, where 2025 is going, I'm liking what I'm seeing for you. So I think it's good. I think Neptune in the 12th house for Taurus we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But in the meantime, I think that Pluto in the 10th house is amazing. And Uranus in this, I don't know. I think it's very nice. So yeah, Taurus. I think that there's this like gratitude that's you're faced with at this time. Okay, so let's see your cards. I get this like happy feeling when I look at this chart for Taurus. I'm like, I think good things are coming for Taurus, you know, and it's based upon the experiences that you've had over the last few years. So you have the 6 of Wands. There's like a victory there. And then we have the Page of a New Beginning. Many of you, I'll kind of jump the gun on this. There will be a lot of entrepreneurial beginnings, you know. There'll be a lot of you trying. Many of you will try businesses and be successful. Ace of Cups. Pages are like aces. So you have maybe some of you might move for somebody. There's like, I feel like there's a clicking here. Like things fall into place and things click. And so I think that there's like a fresh start, a new beginning, fulfillment of a dream. What you've tried to do has been successful. How you've applied yourself has been successful, and you're going to where you want to be, and it's making you happy. Very, very nice. Very happy for you, Taurus. So this has been one of the happiest messages for Taurus that I've seen in a while. So I hope you guys are excited. I'm always happy for you guys when I see that positive message. Anyway, yeah, so thank you for everybody who texted. And so I'm very happy to be here with you guys. I'm going to turn off the monetization for this just so there's no, Obviously, there's no ulterior motives, but just to make it clear. So I'll turn off monetization for this now that it's posted. And I hope you use the next 48 hours, and hopefully this message here helps you. Okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll do this. Grand Trine. Illuminati. Okay, see you guys later. And take care of yourselves. Remember, good intentions, because Algol is an aspect. Good intentions. Okay, see you guys later. Take care. Bye.